Run here and tell us about your adventures with Buckeye Boys State.
Hello. Good evening, gentlemen. It's a pleasure to finally be here. Thank you guys for allowing me to experience Buckeye Boys State this past summer. It really was, the motto of Buckeye Boys State is a week to change a lifetime. And I'll admit it, when you first hear that, you're a little skeptical, right? 1 week to change a whole lifetime? Really? But, as I've come to learn, every word of that motto is true, right? I was a late registry, and it's in Miami University, right? So it was a 4-hour drive on down. And we get there, and, I'm going to sign in, and my name's not in the system, right? I was already kind of nervous about attending, because, it's a whole week of my summer. It's an intense program. We'll get into it in a little bit, right? And so it didn't help that my name wasn't in the system. That's a little bit extra bit of stress I got to deal with. So they sent me off with these other group of kids, right, to wait it out, right? And immediately once I started talking to these kids, I knew I was in the right place, right? These were smart kids from every corner of Ohio, right? The first guy I talked to, the way Buckeye Boys State works, it's a student government kind of thing, right? You go down there, you create a government with 500 of the smartest kids in Ohio. Okay, the highest position you can get is governor, right? That's the highest position in the state, like the wine, right? And the first guy I talked to, I go, what are you going to go for? He goes, governor. And I go, oh man, governor. I'm like, remember my name, I'm Will Lang, right? But as I continue talking to these kids, it's just awesome, right? This guy named Scott, I was talking to him. He grew up, like 2 miles east of the Indiana border on a farm. I mean, it was interesting to hear his perspective and see how much we had in common, even though we've grown up in different locations and have different experiences, right? So, I finally get myself checked in and go back to my dad, who's got my luggage, right? And we hop on a golf cart to go over to where I'd be staying for the next week, right, in my county. And the second we hop in that golf cart, it starts pouring, right? Torrential downpour, okay? And, we're trying to yell at the driver, hey, this is the building we gotta go to, this is the building we gotta go to. We finally make it there, and I hop out the car, grab my luggage. I don't even have time to say goodbye to my dad, right? It's pouring, the guy's trying to get the next group over, right? And so I walk into the dorm building, right? And this is my city. So the way the Buckeye Boys State is broken down, it's roughly 500 kids or so, all from all across Ohio, and that's the state of Buckeye. And then there were 4 different counties. They had 4 different dorm buildings, if you will, right? And then each county was broken down into 4 separate cities based on each floor. So first floor of this one building is a city, the second floor is a city, and then those 4 cities constitute a county, right? So that's kind of a little bit of the layout, right? And I still wasn't sure what I wanted to go for, whether I wanted to go for a position in city government, position in county government, or even a position in state government, right? So that next morning, we have a party caucus, right? I was assigned the Federalist Party, proud Federalist, right? And they start going through the list of county positions, right? And I'm thinking I should go for one of these. I want to try to run a campaign. I want to go for a position in our county government, right? And that's my first lesson that I learned from this. It was a lot more about how county government, city government works, right? There's a position called county recorder. I'll be honest, I didn't know that was a real thing until I got at Buckeye Boys and they were reading them off saying, hey, what position do you want to go to? And I hear county recorder and I'm like, I'm a details-oriented guy. Let me go for it. I rose my hand. I'm like, I say, what's your name? I'm Will Lang. I'm going to run for county recorder, right? And so, I get in a little bit of a primary, right? A little bit of a debate with some other kids. And, I'm making signs. I go, Lang Gang, that was my slogan, right? Putting them up around our county. And I managed to actually win the primary. I'm very proud of that. And then we don't talk about what happened in the general election, right? It didn't work out in my favor. But yeah, it was all right. It was still a really good experience. So ultimately, I ended up, just talking to different people, throughout the week. And I was telling my one friend, right, I was like, man, I still don't have a job, right? And fortunately, I was walking with this guy overheard me, and he was in the State Department. He was working with the Director of Aging, right, in the governor's cabinet. And he's like, you looking for a job? I'm like, yeah, I'm looking for a job. And the guy goes, congrats, you're the new Assistant Director of the Aging Department. I'm like, wow, awesome, look at this, I got a job, right? And that was a really good experience. I got to work for the state, work for all the Buckeye Boys in the aging department. I'm very proud to say that, I feel like the 2022 aging department is the most successful aging department in the history of Buckeye Boys. We actually managed to get a bill passed, which you know how hard that is here in real life in the U.S. Senate. It's even harder in Buckeye Boys State. They only have 3 days, and you know the political discourse they got going on. But we managed to get a bill passed. Very proud of that, right? And learning a lot about how that works. We got to meet with actual members of our State Department and learned about their, just really learn to appreciate what they do every day to make our lives better, right? So that was really awesome. So yeah, that was the first major lesson, just learning more about government, about leadership, obviously. But I really think the biggest thing, my biggest takeaway, and I think this is true for every Buckeye Boys State alum, I mean, Neil Armstrong, he was a Buckeye Boys Stater. If you were to ask him, what was your greatest takeaway, I guarantee you he would have said the network he created, the people, right? I met so many new people, all thanks to you guys, right? I met so many new people from, new kids, extremely smart, diverse, with all sorts of different experiences from all across our beautiful state, right, during this week, or during the course of this week. And it was awesome, right? From that guy I was mentioning at the start, Scott. He was a great guy. I was lucky enough to have him in my city, right, so we could talk more often. And from my roommate for the week, this guy named Timmy. He's from Youngstown. He was a fashion, he owned his own fashion business. So he was a really good guy to talk to. And then as a proud member of the Buckeye Boys State band, that's where I made a lot of close friends there as well. Talking to this guy, Dom, he was a very talented saxophone player, also an avid runner. He was a fun guy to talk to. And then the closest friend that I met there, this guy named Keith, who was also in the band, extremely talented saxophone player. We got along real well, to show that Buckeye Boys State really can change a lifetime. I've met with this guy 4 or 5 times, 3 or 4 times or whatever, since Buckeye Boys State, just to hang out. I mean, we went to Cedar Point together just a few months ago, right? And these are friends that changed a lifetime. And not only that, but through him, I've met some of his friends, and now I'm proud to call them my own friends. So even though I didn't meet those people directly through Buckeye Boys State, I owe it all to Buckeye Boys State, and I owe my presence at Buckeye Boys State to the people sitting in this very room, right? So my gratitude is eternal for that, right? As a high school senior, I'm deep in the college application process, and I'm doing it through the Common App, right? A Common Application, going through all sorts of different colleges, right? And there's an essay requirement with that. And one of the prompts is describe a accomplishment or an event that sparked a period of personal growth in your life. Ladies and gentlemen, in a few short days, I'll be sending an essay to a dozen of the nicest, most prestigious colleges in our region. An essay written entirely about my experience at Buckeye Boys State and how that has shaped me into a better public speaker, into a better leader, into a better communicator, into increase my knowledge about government, all sorts of things, right? And it wasn't just, I talked about the kids, it wasn't just the kids who I gained connections with. It was the counselors, the young adults who were just awesome, incredibly passionate. Our counselor is a guy named Daniel Lamp, called him Lampy. He's now in Madagascar working with humanitarian crisis stuff. Right? So he was awesome. And then there was this guy, Ballard. He was, so Lamp, he was in charge of our city. He was our city counselor. This guy named Ballard, he's an active military member, so he was real serious. When Ballard told you to do something, you did it. I think even the counselors were afraid of Ballard, right? But he was just a great guy and really inspirational, a lot of respect for him. And then on top of that, the Legionnaires themselves that were there, they were incredible. You could just feel the passion and how much they truly care about what they're doing off of them every time you talk to them, right? So it was just a wonderful experience all around, and I wouldn't have gotten that opportunity without you guys sitting here in this room today. Like I said, I was a little bit skeptical of that what's it called, the week to change a lifetime, right? I was a little bit skeptical of that going in, but it has proved to be true in every sense of the word, right? Once a Buckeye boy, always a Buckeye boy, right? The camp itself may only last a week, but the lessons learned and the friends made last a lifetime. Thank you, ladies. Thank you.
Before you depart, Will, did you have to, were you tasked with budgeting your funds there?
Well, yes, I was tasked. You want me to speak on that a little bit?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, yeah, so let me speak on this a little bit. Of course, budgeting your funds, right? It was interesting, a little bit of an insight into how life works, having to pay taxes on my, on my income. Having to pay for my bed was like my house, if you will, so having to go down to the bank and write off a mortgage, right? That is stuff I don't want to worry about yet, but that forced that into me, and it was a good experience doing that. So yeah, just that's another lesson that I didn't even mention, right? It shows how impactful it was. I mean, there's stuff that I could still be talking about, different things that I learned while I was there, and the financing, like you just said, was another very important part. So yeah, thanks for reminding me about that.
Good, and then it gave you some good life experience.
Yeah, of course. And also, I didn't even mention this, but the speakers were tremendous, right? Having the opportunity to hear, the governor of our state, Mike DeWine, speak in person, is, that's what, I mean, you don't get that. Not every, 16-year-old guy gets that opportunity. And it wasn't just DeWine. I mean, the Ohio Secretary of State was there. A member of the Ohio Supreme Court, she was there, and she, swore in our governor. So that was really incredible. And just hearing the Legionnaires speak was awesome, right? During our nightly assemblies, that happened every night. So yeah. Cool. Thank you guys once again. Anything else?
Anybody else have any?
Any questions? I'm free. All right.
Good job.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Good job, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Again.
thanks for having me.
Good job.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
I might say it was brought up yesterday at the district meeting that it looks like the group of folks going down to Buckeye Boys State keeps growing and growing, so they're looking for additional help down there. So
Keep it
if
going.
you're looking for something to do to spend a week at, plus you gotta spend some time in training, we can talk to the district commander next month. If you're so inclined. Okay, now I propose that we have an amendment to restore our meeting to its original content.
So moved. Second.
Okay, thank you. Okay, old or unfinished business, I think JC brought up that we're meeting with the school principal and their team, along with the VFW on Friday morning, to kind of flush out the details of what's going to be going on at